And welcome to Extra Shot. Did you guys see that? Yeah, very cool. It's a little flash of what we're going to be talking about today.
We teaser.
Well, yeah, not only let you guys know on our Facebook caption, but also show you what it is we're going to be talking about. So you guys saw it. We're going to start with that Bachelor in Paradise continued drama. Both sides, both victims, if we want to call it that. They're speaking now. Dina, what are you learning?
Yeah, so I know a lot of you have been following the conversation, Bachelor in Paradise. It is kind of a fun after party from the Bachelor and Bachelorette franchises. Every summer, the cast members come together at Paradise and they basically get together to see if they can find love in Paradise. Right. And this year's production was underway just last week. It's not scheduled to air until August, but they were in the middle of filming in Sayulita. And two of the contestants were involved in some sort of sexual misconduct incident. So they had to stop production. The Bachelor in Paradise cast and crew, Warner Brothers, releasing a statement saying basically that something happened that they're investigating. They have not gone as far as to say exactly what that is, but through reports and through now the two victims in this, as they claim to be, we are learning a little bit more about what potentially at least happened in a way that we can report. It is that there was something that happened. We're seeing rumors about what that could have been, but we won't say what those rumors are. But regardless, Corinne Olympios and Demario Jackson, the two in question, have both now released statements through their lawyers, and they both claim that they are victims in this. And so for whatever happened, whatever went down that day in Paradise, Corinne is claiming that she was not able to give consent because of alcohol. Demario Jackson is saying that now his character has been called into question. So I want to read a little bit of each of their statements for all of you, because now both sides are finally talking. So first, Corinne Olympios says, "I am a victim and have spent the last week trying to make sense of what happened on June 4th. Although I have little memory of that night, something bad obviously took place, which is why I understand production on the show has now been suspended and a producer on the show has filed a complaint against the production." So then at the very end of this, she says that she has retained a group of professionals to ensure that what happened on June 4th comes to light and she can continue her life. And so she also says that she's dealing with physical and emotional trauma. Demario Jackson released a statement to E! News, and in that he says that this was malicious allegations against him. He says that he is now a victim of character assassination. He says that it's unfortunate my character and family name has been assassinated this past week with false claims and malicious allegations. I will be taking swift and appropriate legal action until my name is cleared. Per the advice of legal counsel, he will also be seeking all available remedies entitled to me under the law.
So getting pretty serious.
Getting very serious.
Because we know that, yes, they say, this is all according, and the first tweets that started coming out were from, and we're learning this, I was learning this today, were coming from an author of a book she works in the television and in the movie industry, but she's coming out with a book about The Bachelor. And there were some initial tweets about this whole incident coming from her via Twitter from sources that she had part of the ABC production. So again, why we're refraining from giving too many details about that night is because this is all just she said, that he said, or she said, and we don't know the full story. But now this is taking it up a notch into a legal matter. And I'm curious to know still what happened that night, if it was recorded. We know cameras were rolling. It was right. I mean, this was a scene that they were shooting. Did it just get a little bit too intense? But what was it that made someone, if this happened, so uncomfortable that they walked out, and now legal matters?
Well, this is just such a mess. Every time I read about it, I say, this is a disaster, this is horrible, it's a mess. And there's so many questions, because on set, you have tons of crew people. You have the executive producer, the producer, you have the camera people, you got the boom operator, the grip, you have the lighting people, PAs, craft services over on the side.
Right.
Everybody is there. So the first question that I had was, so nobody saw anything going on? And I know you guys probably talked about it when we were out before, but again, the question still lingers. So where were the stops? Because if something went down, there were no checks and balances. And to me, this says they have to cancel the show from here on out, because you're pretty much saying, with all of these people on set, and people sign waivers to be on the show and disclosures, and you're basically putting your lives in someone's hands, that if something goes wrong, nobody is going to be around. Or if it didn't go wrong, we let it get this far to the point in the media that we're saying that it did.
And one of the producers did say that she saw this go down and felt like something wasn't right. And that is what led for her to go to the other production crew. And allegedly, according to some of the reports we've seen, she didn't show up to work the next day because she was so uncomfortable about that scene. Whether or not there were people there in the moment trying to stop it, I mean, it's still very, very early, too fluid to know. And so maybe there were people who tried to stop this. Maybe there was something else that happened that they're investigating. But I know the cast and crew are also being investigated and questioned about this. And so they were witnesses. A lot of the different cast members are going to give their recounts of what happened that day. We know that the show includes alcohol, and the show includes people in bathing suits and people trying to hook up and find love. So when you put all those things together.
Yeah, my thing is for both sides of this, for those who are claiming to be victims of this incident, and for the production company saying, hey, this is something that we witnessed and we're shutting things down because of it. What were the boundaries when this show launched? Because if you don't, like going off of what you're saying, Cornelia, the checks and balances, and then also what you're saying, Dina, what was supposed to happen on the show? People are supposed to hook up and find love, and it's a bunch of adults with alcohol involved on an island or in paradise. Is there, and should there be a line that is drawn to say, hey, you can take these intimate scenes up to this point, but the minute you cross over is the minute that you're off the show, or the minute that the show is canceled? Or do they not let the producers know that this is what's going to be happening? If you're not comfortable with certain behavior, this isn't the show for you. I just think there's more. We know that there's more to the story that we don't know. So I'm interested to see what happens to this. I want to talk too about character assassination. Then for DeMario and for Corinne, who we've been seeing a lot of pictures of. For them, do they have the right to say that when you sign these waivers saying you're going to be part of a show that involves everything we just talked about? Then you are a character on the show, and how do you guys perceive him on The Bachelorette this season, DeMario? Because weren't we kind of like about DeMario from the beginning?
We were on the fence about DeMario because his girlfriend, his alleged girlfriend showed up.
She claimed to be his girlfriend.
And that was the drama with them as far as him leaving her and trying to pursue Rachel on The Bachelor, which to me...
Isn't that character assassination? Couldn't he have... You can say that if you're DeMario about anything?
Well, I think
that you're saying I'm a cheater?
Well, but does cheating allow you to never get a job ever again versus rape? Because when you talk about sexual assault under any umbrella, that pretty much solidifies your stance in the future going forward. So you may not get a job, you may lose your friends, you will get social media backlash.
You'll just be seen through a whole different lens.
So
that's what
and
he
the same
is
with
claiming.
Corinne, because Dina was saying that Corinne had people were saying stuff about Corinne.
Right. So it goes from character assassination on DeMario's side to slut shaming on Corinne's side. And again, it's so early and we don't know exactly what happened, but based on both of their statements that they've released, I can conclude that they don't agree with whatever went down. Corinne has her perspective of what happened. She claims to be a victim. DeMario has his perspective of what happened. He claims to be a victim. So for whatever did happen that night and that day, I think at this point, Corinne has already had so many people post on her Instagram and Facebook pages and all over social media about what they think about her. A lot of negative things. DeMario's name is getting flashed around now without a lot of people knowing the details as the person who potentially took advantage of a drunk girl. And so he is saying, hey, this is assassinating my character because he doesn't see that it went down that way. So I'll be curious to see what ends up happening. But for the future of Bachelor in Paradise, I think this might end up being the end of this show.
Hey,
well, how about for Bachelor, Bachelorette?
And Bachelor, Bachelorette.
Because it's all connected.
But real quick, for the future and for the past, because now you have someone saying, hey, I was a little drunk and something happened that I didn't agree with. And now from previous seasons, are we going to have, you know what, that happened to me too.
And that's what I thought about that yesterday, because now that this can of worms has been opened, in the past, you're right, Megan and Cornelia, they signed these disclosure agreements and they don't talk about it, and alcohol's involved, and maybe they did things that they weren't proud of, but they thought, you know what, it was just part of the show and I did it and I signed up for it. But now that this has come out, how many people were probably too intoxicated to have consented, really? Like, who knows what could come out of this?
It's not just the show. I mean, this is the issue you can bring up with a lot of reality television shows in general, because although, and I've talked to people who've been on the other side, the production side of reality television, and they don't script per se. Some do. But in this particular one, it was a reality dating series. You guys might remember Flavor of Love, Flava Flav, and that whole series that went down. But it's you don't script what's going to happen, but you do set people up in a situation. You set the scenario, and then they can play their own characters. And how is it that you're going to let this story evolve? So there is some production that goes into it, of course, because it is still a show, which brings me to some of these comments that people are
It's a big talker.
Are mentioning. Let's see, Brenda Lee, neither can be a victim. It's their actions. The show Bachelor in Paradise did not script their involvement.
But DeMario said in a report, according to people who talked to DeMario before, so I shouldn't say DeMario said, but someone said DeMario said, that the producers encouraged the relationship between Corinne and DeMario. That's what he claimed to somebody who then told TMZ that.
See, and this is where it gets tricky. When you become part of a reality show, you have to know that you're going to be put in these really sticky situations.
Right.
And you're an adult and you make the decision to go on to a reality show. Very likely that your career can really take a great turn for the better after shows like this, because you can gain fame.
She had a whole product line she was trying to promote.
Think about all the bachelorettes that have gone on and been correspondents for different shows. If you play it right, but if something serious like this happens, that's part of the risk in being part of a reality show. They want numbers, they want drama, so they're going to stir it up as much as they can until something like this happens, where now the producers are going, uh-oh, we can get in trouble. Warner Brothers came out with that statement saying, we are aware that there is allegations of misconduct.
Right. And Brenda Lee says, neither can be a victim. It's their, wait, did you read that
one? I did read that one, yeah, no, it's fine.
It updated for me. So Renee says, look, this is not a case of Mother Teresa being led astray. Did you see her antics on Ben's season? I think you mean Nick Viall's season. But yes, on Nick's season, she was the not very conservative female, and she has a product line that has quotes on it that some people would find very risque, and she was always very sexual on the show. But then she also came on Jimmy Kimmel and said, hey, they didn't show all of the episodes of Nick and I just having conversations. They showed a lot of me being silly and sexual, but she said that the actual production showed her in a light that she felt like was a little bit off too. But regardless, she did the things that she did.
And then that could be the argument of the short skirt argument, you know, like, well, you had a short skirt on, so you deserved it kind of thing.
Right.
So this whole situation is just a mess.
For the network.
Nobody is going to walk away from this clean. ABC's not going to walk away. The production staff isn't going to walk away clean. Corinne and DeMario aren't going to walk away clean, and their reputations won't either.
And let's be very clear too, all three of us take this very seriously. And if this turns out to be a matter where she was not in a position to give consent, there is something very wrong to be said about that. But at this point,
we don't want to place blame or point any fingers, because we
disagreeing.
We don't know. So answer this question, Dina, that someone I have about this comment. Was Corinne the one who had a nanny on Nick's season? Okay.
Raquel.
Okay.
And she's Team Corn. She has a whole product line now that she's trying to promote.
Jacqueline Sutton says, where was Corinne's nanny?
Oh.
Interesting.
Fair question.
Maybe there's reasons as to why at her age she still had a nanny.
It is unfortunate, because if this does turn out to be, the allegation is true that X, Y, and Z happened, she didn't give consent. Say that is the case. People saw her in such a negative light on Nick's season that they're already, going to judgment about who she is. And this potentially she could be a victim here. We're not throwing that off the table.
No.
So, but yes, she is the one who had the nanny. She was the one who was very
So when you're taking care,
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe she was a little more mature than the other ladies. Yeah.
Mature or immature?
Immature.
Immature. Okay. All right. We'll continue this conversation online. We do see your comments keep sounding off. Next up, I do want to talk about, or at least spark the conversation.